Yes, Jack lad, what's happening, brother? You good?
How's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all well, mate. What's been happening?
No, like really, mates. Work, training. It's about it, really.
Custom. I wonder if we could start, mate, by telling us all how you first got into fighting. Where did it all start for you?
Fighting for me started from quite a young age, to be fair. I mean, my dad was a fighter, but he didn't fight like, he didn't box or anything like that. He was quite like, he's a tough man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of his close friends was a champion boxer. So my love for boxing sort of come when I can go back to my earliest memories of meeting him.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've trained in boxing on and off nearly 20 years now, since I was about 8 or 9 years old. I didn't actually have my first boxing match until I was 17. I went straight onto the unlicensed scene at 17 years old. I fought a lad that was much older than me, had a lot more experience. I was supposed to fight someone else, but the night before, someone else had to step in because he pulled out the night before the fight. So I ended up getting matched up with someone I shouldn't have been in the ring with, but still held my own. I lost the fight. Didn't really train for it. I lost the fight, but then my unlicensed career sort of went there. I think I had about 12 unlicensed fights. I think I won about 10 of them. Won 10 of them, lost 2, and then I went into the amateur scene. I had a few amateurs. I had 4 amateur fights. Won 2, lost 2. What's that?
Did you go in the amateurs after the unlicensed, or was it before
the
unlicensed?
After, because what it was, because it's kind of like I think because I wasn't, it's weird to explain, but if you've done a license and want to get into amateur, they kind of look at it like you're bettering yourself.
Yeah.
But I think if you go to unlicensed, then amateur, then go back to unlicensed, and then try going back to amateur, they just wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
Only had 4 amateur fights. I won 2, lost 2. My first amateur fight, I fought Tom Welch, who's doing quite well in the pro game now. Scott Welch's son, if you know who that is.
Yeah.
I fought him. Had a close fight with him. I lost on points. And then I won my next 2 amateur fights. And then my fourth and last amateur fight, I went over to Guernsey and boxed. And to be fair, we got bout of the season. It was a really good fight. But I feel that I absolutely won the fight, but they gave it a unanimous decision to him. And that was quite a known thing in amateur boxing, like the robberies and stuff. So I was just like, you know what, this ain't for me anymore. I don't want to do this. I wouldn't be able to swallow it every time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you always been a big lad from young then?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, when I was in school, I was shorter than the average big lad. There was quite a few lads in school that were a lot taller than me and stuff like that. My old man's a big lad. He's built like got a strongman kind of physique.
Yeah.
He's 6'4", way over 20 stone. So yeah, I'm 6'3", and I bounce. My weight is constantly up and down. It all depends on what I'm doing, if I've got a fight coming up or not.
Yes, I've noticed in your photos, nearly every photo I've seen you in your different weights.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. It's you know those people that they keep in shape all the time, and I just can't do it. Once I train hard for, I have my fight, and then once I've had my fight, unless I've got another fight lined up straight away, then I enjoy myself. Do you know what I mean? I've got kids.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to maintain that kind of lifestyle. So yeah, my weight is constant up and down all the time.
So where did the transition to bare knuckle come along?
Right. So what happened was I was actually training for the training to go in the British Army. So that's where if you look at some of my when I first had my first bare knuckle fights, I was really slim. I was 15 stone. Yeah. What happened was I went to the Army Recruitment Centre and they said that you're too big. Your BMI is far too high. You need to lose weight. I said okay. So in 6 months, I lost 6 stone and came back. And so I started going through the training all the progression to get into the army. And then I met my missus, and with that, she fell pregnant with my little boy, and I was just like, right, need to put the army on hold. I need to earn. I need to start making a bit of extra money. Obviously, I need to pay for things and stuff like that. And then that's when I saw. I've always been interested in bare knuckle fighting anyway, from a young age. My dad took me to watch a bare knuckle straightener literally down the road from where I live, which it was quite a big fight in my area when that happened. It still gets talked about to this day. Yeah. And I was I must have been about 11 or 12 when that happened. So that kind of sparked an interest in bare knuckle even from like way back then. But then when my missus told me that my little boy was due to be born, I said, well, I need to get some extra money in here. And I thought, you know what? I spoke to the promoters of BKB. They told me what the crack was with the ticket sales and the purse and all that. I was like, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. So yeah, it just went from there. And then once I had that first fight, that was it. I was hooked.
Did you have many fights outside of the ring before you went into like BKB? Did you have many like bare knuckle fights or any like padders on the street, or was it all brand new to you, the bare knuckle?
No, I mean I've grew up around it. The thing is as well, like if you see my YouTube channel and stuff, I don't portray to be a hard man. I don't act like one. I don't talk like one. Look, I was a doorman. I've been in fights. I've been in. Well, this is the thing I say. I've been in fights. It's not really been fights. It's like, I've hit people when they've gone down. I don't consider that a fight. Do you know what I mean? A fight is where two people go at it and it's back and forth. That's a fight. And then I've had my fair share of stuff like that. I've even got a bit of CCTV footage of something that happened on the door, but I'll keep that hush hush.
You get tortured for that now.
It's one of them things. But like I said, I like to consider myself a family man. I don't get involved in stuff like that. I'm only really just starting to come to terms with the fact that sometimes in this fight game, in the professional fight game, sometimes you've got to speak up a little bit. You got to nig your opponents just to get those better fights. Otherwise, you're just going to be the constant. You're just going to be sitting back while everyone else is moving up. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not talking, you're not expressing yourself. That's why I don't know if you've seen. I'll keep putting keep sharing things about that Ben Rothwell that's just come onto the BKFC.
Yeah, I seen it on the story earlier.
Yeah, he's a big name, isn't he? It's a big fight, and I think that. But they're the kind of fights that you've got to push for. Otherwise, they just ain't gonna happen. So.
Yeah, do you like the bare knuckle? Do you prefer the bare knuckle more than the gloved?
Oh, all day long. I'll never go back to glove boxing. Never.
How many bouts have you had now in the bare knuckle? Is it free professional bare knuckle fight?
5 I've had now. 5. I had 3 for BKB, and I've had 2 on another show. I've had 5, and 4 wins and 1 draw.
Yeah, and how did you find yourself in them fights? Did you enjoy them all?
Oh yeah, every single one of them. There was only one that the fight that I got the draw in against Mason Shaw. There was a lot going on in my life at that time. My boy was born. I was struggling with work. I didn't have work. That was the problem. So I lost my job. I was trying to train. I was worrying when I was in the gym. I was worrying about how am I going to provide for my kid. He's just been born. I've not got no income coming in. And then when I finally got some work in, I'm like, well, I'm supposed to be training. It was just back and forth the whole camp. And then I had to lose an extra half a stone as well, because I sort of kind of blew up in weight again in between the Greg Main fight and when I was supposed to be fighting next, because I had an injury, so I couldn't train. So I blew up again in weight. And I was supposed to fight someone else at an agreed weight at 17 stone, which I would have made comfortably. But then they decided that we couldn't fight that guy. I had to fight Mason Shaw, and then I had to lose another half a stone on top of that. So, yeah, that on top of everything else. So
you were meant to be, if I remember rightly, you were meant to be fighting on the BKFC Wembley card, weren't you?
Yeah. So that they originally announced that they were going to be doing the show. I think it was in June or July.
Yeah.
And I was set to fight, and I was meant to fight Rob Cunningham.
Yeah.
But then they postponed it to the end of August, which I couldn't make that date. So I was pretty gutted. But that's kind of how this whole thing with Decker come around as well, because it was that fight on BKFC was gonna secure my Christmas money for my kids. Do you know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, I've that fight's been cancelled now. I need to think of a way of earning another some quick money. And to be fair, at the time I didn't know that BKFC were planning on doing another show in England in November at that time, because nothing's guaranteed in the fight game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought, fuck it, I'll call Decker out. I see that obviously he just had a fight with that Dean Lynch Ward, and he's still active. And and he was a name that I saw years ago when I first started looking into the Bare Knuckle game, way before I actually started doing it myself. I
Yeah.
thought, you know what, he's never been beaten in Bare Knuckle. So I thought, do you know what, I'll call him out, put some money up or whatever, and yeah, and then we're doing this pay-per-view thing now and earn a bit of money that way.
Yeah, so that's your next fight. It's definitely happening then, the fight with Decker.
Yeah, it's definitely happening. I mean, there's a lot of talk on YouTube and stuff like that of the fight not happening. It's definitely happening. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that's out there to get Decker or whatever, or through these accusations and stuff. But I keep out of it. Like I said, I don't get involved in people's businesses. Do you know what I mean? It's the end of the day. I've called the man out to fight. I want to fight him. I'll fight him, and then I'll move on. So that's where I'm at with the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? But the fight is 100% happening.
Yeah, it's the best way, mate, to keep out of it all. It's all negativity, you just don't need it, do you?
Exactly. I don't need this. And in the day, like I'll get up at 5 o'clock every morning, go to the gym, work a 10-hour day, come home, I've got all my kids. Do you know what I mean? I haven't got time to be sitting there arguing with someone online. So yeah.
I'm taking it you watched the BKFC London card, the one at Wembley that just happened.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah, it was a very good card. It had some really good fights on, actually. Really good fights on.
What fight stood out here on the night?
So the fight of the night, I believe, was Danny Christie's fight.
Yeah.
That was a very, very, very good scrap. That was a really good fight. Tyler Goodjohn and James Lilly was another good fight. Really enjoyed watching that one. Mate, to be fair, they was all good fights. All for different reasons. Even obviously I watched the Brett May and the Rob Cunningham fight, and I've put my opinions on there. I thought what happened in that fight on my YouTube thing, but I was interested to still watch it though, because these are two potential opponents.
Yeah.
So it's like straight away from the first fight of the card, I'm like straight into it, because I know that I could be potentially fighting these guys at some point. So yeah, no, it was a good card to watch.
What do you think of the clinch in the BKFC?
I like it. Because the thing is, I've said this before, bare knuckle boxing or bare knuckle fighting, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter what you've done in boxing, glove boxing, it doesn't matter what you've done in MMA, don't matter what you've done in fucking kickboxing, Thai boxing, whatever it is that you've come from. This is a whole new sport. And I think it was Luis Palomino, the lightweight champ of BKFC, said it. He said this sport is completely different, and you've got these guys, these names from like the UFC or Bellator or whatever, coming over to it thinking, yeah, I was big in that promotion, I'm going to do well in this. It's not always the case. You might well do. Obviously, that they're elite level strikers, but don't mean you're going to do well with bare knuckle. It's a whole new sport. It's something that you can adapt to or you don't. It's one of them, really.
Yeah, definitely. So when's the date for your next fight with Decker?
It's the 20th of November, so 6.5 weeks away.
And what do you think of your opponent's career so far in the bare knuckle? What do you think of him as a fighter?
He's a tough man. He's a very, very tough man. If you watch a lot of his fights, I've not seen him in bare knuckle. I've not seen him get put on his ass. So he's got a solid chin. And if you watch how he fought in his last fight against Dean Lynch Ward, he put him on his ass 3 times. So he's obviously got a whack on him. He's a tough man. It's going to be a hard fight. I believe I've got the power to put him on his ass. I really do, because I mean, the one thing I will say about a lot of his fights, he's fought tough men, but he hasn't fought. I don't believe he's fought anyone with my caliber boxing skills, with my size and weight and speed behind everything as well. So, but he is a tough man. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, there's no denying that, mate. He's a very tough man. So is that the plan then? Just to go in there and just steam in and get the knockout?
Well, no, because the thing is with this fight, there's no time limit or rounds or anything. The fight's going on until someone quits or gets knocked out. So I mean, yeah, obviously I need to tag him hard, but I can't let everything go straight away because I don't know. He might take it all. Next thing you know, I'm fucked and I'm not gonna get a rest period now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
It's a bit different when you've got the rounds and you know that you've got to work hard for 2 minutes and you know you're going to get a minute rest. You can do that, but when you know you're not getting a rest, it's hard to gauge when to go for it, when not to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So it's happening in a ring, isn't it?
No. It's happening on in like a yard kind of thing.
Oh, so it's right. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I thought it was happening like in a ring with fair play, man, and that.
No, there's going to be a fair play man and all that there. But it's just happening outside in an open space.
Yeah. Oh well, where can everybody get the pay-per-view from for you?
If you go over to Decker's official All or Nothing podcast page, there's I think he's pinned a link. It'll be at the top of his page. I think just click get access and you'll be able to pay for it there. It's only $1.99.
Yeah, sweet. So anybody who's watching now, if they want to go and watch Jack fight in November, go click over on that link. $1.99 to watch the fight, is that right?
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, £1.99.
Sweet. And where can people find you, Jack? For the people who aren't subscribed to you on YouTube and that, where can they find your page and Instagram and things?
Just on YouTube, type in Jack Draper with the fist emoji thing. And to be fair, if you type in Jack Draper now, all my stuff will come up. It's so ever since this Decker thing's sort of come around, my name on YouTube's kind of like it's being typed up quite a lot. And on Instagram, it's the Spartan something. I can't remember. I've put three numbers. I can't remember what numbers they are. But yeah, just type in.
I'll put it in the description anyway. Your socials.
Yeah. It's a Spartan, and then on Facebook, just Jack Draper, and you'll see the picture of me with my kids on there.
Sweet, bro. And before we wrap it up, mate, what's the plans for the future in Bare Knuckle for Jack Draper after the Decker Heggie fight?
So after the Decker fight, I'm planning to fight on BKFC in February. So nothing's been set in stone yet. No opponent was spoke about, but I don't think that's going to be happening now. So I think we're going to try and get someone else in. But yeah, the plan is to jump over to BKFC, and like I said, I want to prove that I am up there with the top lads of Bare Knuckle. And I've said before, I will fight anyone. It's just a case of, obviously, if it makes money, it makes sense, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? But I would love to get over to America, fight on BKFC over there, or go over to Thailand. One of the two. I know they've got the two promotions going over there as well. So yeah, just but I'm not in a rush. I'm only 27, so there's no rush for me. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of these guys that are champions and stuff. They're like well into their 30s. You know what I mean? Late 30s. Some of them in their 40s, and they're still doing well in the bare knuckle scene. So there's plenty of time. I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And we'll definitely have to keep in touch, bro, and do another podcast after your fight, and maybe even before the fight, mate, to get it built up a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. Yeah, that'd be good.
Sweet, bro. I really appreciate your time, mate, and we'll catch up very soon, yeah?
Cheers, mate. Thank you for having me on.
No problem, Jack. See you soon, brother.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Ta-ra, mate. Nice one, everyone tuning in there. I'm going to put Jack's social medias on the description of the video, like his Instagram and his YouTube and that. So don't forget to head over there and give him a follow. Appreciate everyone jumping in. John Ronald, Elaine Aslap, my brother, Tony Meehan, Team Me and BKB, South Coast Hooligan, John Ronald, Seth Skip, Fairy Dust, and Team Meehan again, my brother. Everyone go and head over to Tony Meehan's YouTube channel as well. He's currently trying to stop smoking the weed and that, and he's doing real good. So go and follow him on his journey. And also, he'll be back fighting soon when his hand's better. So appreciate everyone jumping in, yeah? Much love. Good night, God bless.